Judge Temin, we could have just done this panel with you, given the diversity of your experiences. So my question for you is what's happening in Philadelphia? Are indigent defendants receiving effective representation? And if not, what impact has that had on your court?
Well, the speakers so far have been talking on the big screen and about the big issues and the big policies, so I'm going to zero in and talk about the trial, what happens in the courtroom. And the answer to your question is it all depends. We have an excellent defender association in Philadelphia, which is a little unique. It's not called the public defender, although that's how they're generally referred to. That's the shorthand way. But it's really the Defender Association of Philadelphia. It's a private, non-profit organization that was originally established in 1932 by the Bar Association and continues to be a private, non-profit corporation, which is 90% supported by public funds, but nevertheless has a certain amount of autonomy that other public defender groups do not have because they are government agencies. For instance, our public defender has decided that it will only represent 20% of indigent defendants in homicide cases, which means that the other 80% are represented by private appointed counsel that are paid for by the court. This is an enormous problem because the fees paid to appointed counsel, both in homicide cases and non-homicide cases, are very, very small. Most of the highly skilled lawyers in Philadelphia, the top of our criminal bar, will not accept criminal appointments because they end up actually, it ends up costing them money to do this work. They don't make money from it, which means that for the most part, not everyone, but for the most part, private appointed counsel in Philadelphia are from people who may not be the best qualified to represent defendants in criminal cases, and very often I think that representation falls short of what we should be requiring. Of course, we are subject in Philadelphia and in Pennsylvania to the same short-sighted view of funding, where funding, police and prosecutors are popular, and it's thought that we get tough on crime by funding police and prosecutors. But if you pay the police to arrest more people and you pay the prosecutors to try more people and indict more people, you need defense lawyers to represent them. And that's something that doesn't seem to be understood by everyone. And I think the fact that the federal government has now taken this on and will be the leader, perhaps, in changing the culture so that the public understands that the defense of indigent defendants is an important part of the criminal justice system. I don't think my time is actually up. I hope that's some other kind of signal. The problem of lawyers not providing appropriate representation is immensely impactful on the criminal justice system. Justice Ginsburg has been reported as saying that a defendant who gets a good lawyer doesn't get the death penalty. And that may sound like a gross exaggeration, but in my experience, it's correct. The Defender Association of Philadelphia has been representing indigent defendants in homicide cases for at least 20 years, and they have never, ever had a death penalty imposed on any of their clients. Judges routinely watch lawyers make mistakes they should not be making in court. And we have to remember that the trial is what establishes the factual frame of the case. Legal errors can be corrected sometimes. Factual errors cannot. Whatever the facts are found by the judge trying the case alone or by a jury become the facts of the case. An appellate court is not going to second guess a jury's finding that a witness was credible, even if the defense lawyer is doing a terrible job of cross-examination. So what can we do to correct this situation? I think we need national standards for defense in criminal cases. We need those standards to be implemented through training that is uniform throughout the country so that everyone, everywhere, every lawyer who wants to do criminal defense work has a chance to be trained properly. Judges cannot be involved in this because it would impact on our impartiality. In Philadelphia, it is required that you have training in order to get appointments in criminal cases. I don't think the training is adequate. It's all under the control of the Philadelphia Bar Association. It ought to be under the control of somebody like the people at NIDA who know something about how to teach, how to train, and what a course ought to consist of for a trial lawyer. After all, being a trial lawyer is a skill. Some people are more talented than others, but it is a skill that can be learned, but it requires proper training. So I would look forward to a time when we have national standards and national standards for training defense counsel in criminal cases, that we don't have to grant new trials in a case where a lawyer who was representing someone on an appointment in a murder trial met with his client for the first time about the case for an hour before the beginning of jury selection. That's a real case. I just granted a new trial in that case. I don't know if my ruling will stand up. But I am very hopeful, hearing Professor Tribe and others talk about this, that the federal government has now taken on this problem and something will be done to correct it.